Welcome back to Go Figure. This is lesson 44 of Saxon Algebra Half, Roots and Order of Operations with Exponents and Roots. Here's a few warm-up problems. Just quickly pause the video and find the solutions to these, and then we'll check your answers on the other side. Okay, evaluate these exponential expressions. 4 squared is 4 times 4, 16. 3 to the 4th power is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81. And 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. All right, our learning objectives today are to define root and the related vocabulary, to simplify expressions with roots, and to list the order of operations, including exponents and roots. So, the inverse operation of raising to a power is called taking the root. So here we have 2 to the 5th power equaling 32. That just, and just as a refresher, the 2 is the base here and 5 is the exponent. And what that means is we are taking the factor 2 5 times. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 equaling 32. Now, just like multiplication and division are inverse operations, taking the root is the inverse of raising to a power. So here we have the 5th root of 32 equals 2. Basically, what we're asking is, what factor 5 times equals 32? Okay, and now here's the vocabulary that is related to roots. So we have the radicand, that would be 32 in this case. The number that's inside of that symbol is called the radicand. The index is the little number on the outside, so 5 in this case is the index. The root is your answer, so 2 is the root. And then you have your radical sign, which is this symbol here. And then all of this together is the radical expression, or you could just call it the radical. And so the way that we read these, if we see a radical sign without an index here, it's just known that it's 2, which is to say the square root. So this right here would be called the square root of 16. And then here with a 3 in the index is called the cube root. So this is the cube root of 27. And then any other number, for this one, for example, we would say the 5th root of 32. And here are a few examples. So simplifying the square root of 49. Again, when we don't see a number here, we just know that it's 2. So it's the square root of 49, which is 7, because 7 times 7 is 49. Okay, the cubed root of 125 is going to equal 5. That's saying 5 times 5 times 5 equals 125. And the 4th root of 81, what factor 4 times equals 81? That would be 3. And just a little simple rule about roots. 1 raised to any power equals 1, and any root of 1 is 1. So, for example, 1 to the 4th power equals 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, which just equals 1. So 1 to any power is always going to equal 1. Similarly, any root of 1 is always going to equal 1, because the 3rd root of 1 is asking is, what factor 3 times equals 1? Obviously, 1. And here we're going to add to our order of operations. So when we have exponents and roots, first we're going to simplify within the symbols of inclusion, within those parentheses and brackets, always starting with the innermost. Then the second step is where we would simplify exponents and roots. Thirdly, we multiply and divide in order from left to right. And lastly, add and subtract in order from left to right. So here's an example. So we are going to simplify this long expression. First, we're going to start within our symbols of inclusion, within our parentheses here. So, and we will do addition and subtraction from left to right. So 3 minus 2 is 1, plus 8 is 9. So I'm going to keep my parentheses and put a 9 in there. And then I'm going to work on the exponents and roots here. So we have 2 squared, which is 4. And then we have the cubed root of 27, which equals 3, because 3 times 3 times 3 equals 27. And then I'm going to do this operation here, which is 12 divided by 2 is 6. So now, working from left to right, we can do our multiplication. So 4 times 9 is 36. And then I'll rewrite all of these: plus 4, minus 3, and plus 6. And now we'll do addition and subtraction from left to right. So 36 plus 4 is 40, minus 3 is 37, plus 6 is 43. So again, remember to do symbols of inclusion first, then exponents and roots, then multiplication and division, and lastly, addition and subtraction. Here are your practice problems for today to work on your own. Go ahead and pause the video, work these out, and then we'll check your answers when you're ready. Okay, first we have the fourth root of 625. So this is asking what factor 4 times equals 625. So this is going to be 5. If you think 5 times 5 is 25, there's another 5 times 5, which equals 25. 25 times 25 equals 625. The cubed root of 64. So what factor 3 times equals 64? One way you could maybe start thinking about this is, you know that the square root of 64 is 8. So the cubed root is probably going to be less than 8. Well, is definitely going to be less than 8. So you might need to do a guess and check. So, okay, let's pick a number less than 8. Let's say 3. 3 cubed is 27, so we know that 3 is too little. So let's go up to 4. 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. So cubed root of 64 is 4. The square root of 81, that is 9, because 9 times 9 is 81. And then here we have a longer expression, so let's start within our parentheses. So we have 4 minus 1 is 3, plus 7 is 10. So I'm going to put 10 in the parentheses here. Then rewrite the rest of this. Okay, and then our second step in our order of operations is exponents and roots. So I'm going to keep this 5 times 10 here. 5 squared is 25. And the cubed root of 64 is 4, as we just learned from our last problem. Okay, and then I would do multiplication and division from left to right. So that gives us our 5 times 10 is 50, plus 25 minus 4. And now we can do addition and subtraction from left to right. 50 plus 25 is 75, minus 4 is 71. And that's all for today. Go ahead and do problem set 44 and read lesson 45 in your textbook. See you next time.